In 1967, a small law office in the Bavarian town of Rosenheim became the scene of one of the most baffling alleged hauntings in history. Strange disturbances plagued the office that no scientist could readily explain. Lights would flicker, and objects moved with no apparent cause, and soon even the police and physicists would be drawn into the mystery. It all began innocently enough, on a quiet autumn day, with the ring of a telephone. Out of nowhere, the phones began to go wild. All 4 telephone lines in lawyer Sigmund Adams' office started ringing simultaneously, yet whenever someone answered, there was only silence. Calls would mysteriously cut off mid-conversation, happening day after day. Puzzled, Mr. Adam assumed the phone system was faulty. He replaced every telephone, but the strange simultaneous ringing still continued. Soon, the electrical disturbances spread beyond the telephones. Fluorescent ceiling lamps began swinging back and forth on their own, and lights switched off and on with no explanation. Brand new bulbs would even unscrew themselves or explode without warning, sometimes right as the young secretary walked by. Engineers installed meters to track the power supply, and they recorded massive voltage surges, strong enough to blow fuses. But oddly, no fuse ever blew. Even when the office was temporarily run on a backup generator, the mysterious flickering continued. As 1967 gave way to 1968, the poltergeist activity reached a fever pitch. Witnesses saw calendar pages peel themselves off the wall and flutter to the floor. Desk drawers slid open unaided, and heavy ring binders toppled with nobody near. One framed painting even rotated more than 300 degrees on its hook. But most shocking was the filing cabinet, a solid oak cabinet weighing over 150 kilograms, which slid several feet across the floor on its own. Staff watched it move, unaided, yet the floor underneath remained perfectly untouched. Professor Hans Bender, Germany's leading parapsychologist, arrived to investigate. After interviewing the staff, he noticed a strange pattern. The disturbances always occurred when a young secretary named Anne-Marie was present. When she was absent, nothing. Fluorescent lights would flicker as she walked by. Phones would ring just as she sat at her desk. Bender began to suspect that Anne-Marie might be the unintentional source of the poltergeist. Her life was a mess: broken engagement, emotional stress, and deep unhappiness. Bender believed these emotions could be triggering unconscious psychic energy, not fraud, but raw, uncontrolled power. Professor Bender had seen this before, a pattern hidden in plain sight, intense emotional trauma triggering subconscious psychic phenomena. He theorized that Anne-Marie wasn't faking anything. She was unknowingly acting as a human agent poltergeist. Her heartbreak, anxiety, and frustration created a storm of telekinetic energy, not evil, but uncontrolled. Tests showed she had high extrasensory sensitivity, even if she couldn't consciously move objects. Her pain leaked into the world around her, and the world responded. In January 1968, Anne-Marie left the Rosenheim law office, and with her departure, the activity stopped, completely. The phones were quiet, the lights were steady, the air no longer felt heavy. For the first time in months, the office was just an office again. Staff returned to work, life moved on, but the memory of those weeks, of drawers flying open, paintings spinning, and a presence that couldn't be seen, never left. In the years following the Rosenheim incident, several skeptics claimed the haunting was a hoax. In one tabloid report, investigators allegedly discovered nylon strings tied to ceiling lamps, allowing them to be swung from a distance. One police officer claimed he caught Anne-Marie reaching for a lamp just before it moved. Critics argued that the entire event had been staged, perhaps to draw attention to the law firm, or as a desperate cry for help. Professor Bender dismissed these claims, but the controversy had begun. Believers and skeptics remain divided to this day. Even after all the reports, experiments, and controversies, the Rosenheim case remains unsolved. Scientists found data, voltage surges, tape recordings, unexplained motion, Skeptics found flaws, possible tricks, and motives, but none could provide a definitive answer. Some say the mind is more powerful than we can comprehend. Others say it was all a carefully staged deception. And so, decades later, one question still lingers. What really happened in that little office in Rosenheim? No matter which side you're on, believer or skeptic, one truth remains. Something truly strange happened in Rosenheim. The phones rang, the lights flickered, objects moved, and then, silence. Was it a haunting, a mind in turmoil, or a story cleverly staged? That answer is yours to decide. This was just one of many unexplained stories we explore at Mind Vault. If you want to unlock more mysteries, hit that subscribe button and join us inside the vault.